All right, I think for once my microphone is working. The minute, actually, I want this screen. This is a better screen because I don't, Sea Dog's not here. What's going on, everyone? I'm sure there's not going to be many people coming on tonight. I just thought I'd come on because I'm just checking in on you, and I wanted to wish you guys a happy 4th of July. Now, I was slightly disappointed today. Kylan Fox has committed to Central Florida, which I don't understand. I figured if, he didn't commit with us, he would have committed with Florida State. So I don't know what they got cooking in Central Florida. But best of luck to him. I mean, I've talked with a few people today, and this is far from the end of the story. I mean, obviously, we just flipped a recruit from Notre Dame. Possibly, we could flip Kylan from Central Florida before the signing period, or with the landscape of the transfer portal right now. He goes to Central Florida for a year for whatever reason, decides to transfer, and you've already developed that relationship in the previous recruiting cycle with him, and he's got Tech on his mind. I mean, this happened with Jahmyr Gibbs in Alabama. Alabama went after Jahmyr Gibbs really hard, and he ended up committing with Georgia Tech, ended up transferring to Alabama after Tashard Choice left. Coffee Killer. There's an R in there. Killer, sorry. Thank you for the super chat, sir. $4.99 says, happy 4th to you and yours. Gotta love a surprise live stream. Well, I always try and deliver. Like, I'm not working today. I mean, I work tomorrow. That's another thing. I don't know what you guys think. I threw this out to Pigskin Pete. I know the 4th is on different days every year, but I think as far as when it's celebrated and when we're off work, it should be a Monday or a Friday. And the same with Halloween, and the same with Christmas. I mean, why is Thanksgiving the only holiday that is a Thursday, Friday every year? It's the last Thursday in November. I know, first world problems, right? I mean, give me enough time. I don't care how great my life's going. I'll find something to complain about. I guarantee you that. That being said, I am grateful, though. It is a great time to be alive. I'm happy that we're in the greatest country in the world. I can come on a live stream and flap my gums, and I don't have to worry about anything as far as repercussions from the government, as far as what I say. Now, repercussions from other fan bases to be expected and welcome. Let's see. Mike Doug says Tech is a way better school. Not going to lie. David says, not going to lie. It's kind of embarrassing to watch Tech's NIL get outplayed by Central Florida. It felt like a kick in the gut today. So I would think that is the main reason why he went to Central Florida. I imagine they put together a very lucrative NIL deal for him, and it's paying off. Pigskin Pete says, happy 4th, Rec. Thanks, Pigskin Pete. Were your ears ringing? I was just talking about you and my we should celebrate the 4th on a Monday or Friday. And you know what Pigskin Pete said? He said my math doesn't add up. I've never been wrong about math. In my entire academic career, I never got a single question wrong. But I know what he's saying. Appreciate you tuning in, Pigskin Pete. And I hope you're having a great 4th, buddy. I hope you're having a great 4th. But yeah, as far as Tech's NIL, I mean, this is the weird thing, right? Like, we're 3rd in the ACC as far as recruiting budget, but it seems like, and if I was a betting man, and you know I don't like gambling, I'd say we're probably dead last, and it's not even close as far as NIL offerings at Georgia Tech. Nick Nader says, driving home so I won't be chatting much, but we here, LOL. Well, I appreciate it, man. Nick Nader, thanks for stopping in. But like I said, that's not the end of the road with Kylan Fox. Like I said, with the transfer portal, you never know where people are going to end up a year or two down the road. And, you know, the impressions that you make on a kid while you're recruiting him, even if he doesn't sign with you, aren't lost. And it is important. Everyone getting a free transfer year. Who knows what can happen? Who knows? What do you guys got going on today on the 4th? I took my daughter to Whitewater, and she had a blast. It was a ton of fun. Whitewater season passes are so cheap, and if you live around there, like I'm in Cobb County, obviously Whitewater's in Cobb County and Marietta, $60 for a season pass is a steal. And I know what they're thinking. They're thinking that I'm going to spend $30 or $40 for a burger and a drink, and I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. I sneak food in every single time. You're not supposed to, but I do anyway. Mike Doug says, I watched the Duke Tech game again today, and one thing I noticed is all the drop passes by the tight end, and that's got to get better. Man, when I did that video, which doesn't have many views, and I get it, because I probably wouldn't want to watch it either, as atrocious as our tight end play has been. Did y'all see the two, like, still images where it's like this was a drop pass? Like at the Georgia game with Dylan Leonard, that was such a horribly dropped pass. You could have possibly said it was a fumble. Like he caught it, he turned upfield, tucked it in his arm, and then right when it like hit his side, it's like he pushed it away. Like, the hell with that football. I don't want to catch that. Yeah, we got to do better at tight end. And I think we will. One, by default, because I don't think you can be a whole lot worse than we've been at tight end. I mean, it would be really difficult. Like, if you watch the video, the last time we had tight ends on the roster before Collins was Colin Peak, and by himself had more production at tight end than all three tight ends we had on the roster receiving stats combined. Not a single receiving touchdown, or not a single touchdown period by tight ends last year. So I imagine that's going to change. Like I said, Buster has been around some of the better tight ends. Well, I mean, let's just call it what it is. Like, I'm not going to dance around it. Brock Bowers is the best tight end in the country. I'm a college football fan, and even though he's wearing red and black, I mean, Brock Bowers is a fun guy to watch. He's a playmaker. Buster was somewhat involved with that, and the Washington kid is pretty good too. Brett Seether comes over, guy that mainly had garbage time, but he was a 3-4 star, 3-star, borderline 4-star out of Clearwater. I think he's a kid that could possibly be tight end 1 this year. I mean, who knows? Like, it's hard to say. I haven't seen him play. Does Tech have any open practices I can go to? Probably not, especially going into the Louisville game, but that would be pretty cool. T. Brent says, hey, just saw Discord. Yeah, man. We're doing it up. What up at T. Branch? Blah, 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 blah. All right. So, that being said, though, like, I'm researching, like, I've spent a good amount of time. In fact, I didn't hardly sleep at all last night. I was about to go to bed. I was like, let me just work on the Brent Key Part 2 video. And next thing I know, it's like 7:30 in the morning. Like, it's such a rabbit hole. There's so much there. And even, like, as much as I like George O'Leary, that, there was some controversy there, and not just him lying on his resume. I mean, when he was at Central Florida, there was some issues too. So it was interesting to look into that. And, I think he taking, obviously, the fantastic coaching that O'Leary had and kind of learning from the mistakes is what I'm hoping. And then you just look at, I mean, he built a program at Central Florida. No one knew or gave two craps about Central Florida before George O'Leary and Brent Key built it into really the preeminent group of 5 school in the country. I mean, they had, in 2013, top 10 wins against number 8 Louisville, number 6 Baylor, beat Georgia in the Liberty Bowl, I think, one of those years. I mean, had a ton of success. Then you go to Alabama and just natty first year. Brent Key, his first Power 5 assistant job, he was there for 3 years at Alabama, national title appearance all 3 years. Went 2 for 3. I mean, the guy has seen a ton of success. Obviously wants to be at Tech, makes a lateral move to come to Tech from Alabama off the heels of a natty. I mean, that's why I think he's the right guy for the job. I don't think he's likely to leave if he has success. I mean, that's what happened with O'Leary. O'Leary had a ton of success at Tech, ends up getting hired at Notre Dame. And I bet in hindsight, who did they hire after George O'Leary? Was it Weiss? It would be interesting to see what O'Leary would have been able to do at Notre Dame had, he not have lied on his resume. And there's 2 specific lies that weren't great. But let's look back through the chat. Beat Auburn back in 2017 for their national championship game. Yeah, but O'Leary had left in 2015. In fact, he went 0-8 in 2015 in Central Florida, and there was some controversy, or not necessarily controversy, but he was saying it was his choice to leave after that. He retired on his own terms. The ADs echoed that as well, but people who say they're insiders of the program take that for whatever it is. Say that that's not the case. Traveling Fool says, yo, U.S. I think that's what you mean, right? Happy for Traveling Fools. Yeah, man, we had a little fireworks show to start the live stream. It's a great country, man. We're certainly blessed to be living in the United States of America. I can tell you that. John Burns, we all want better play on the flats. We have 8 and 4 talent. It's up to the staff to coach them up. We will see. Yeah, I mean, I know, like, you could probably never convince someone who's not Tech faithful or a Tech fan of that, but we definitely do have 8 and 4 talent. And we have the easiest schedule we've had, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. I mean, it's not an easy schedule because every year we draw Clemson and Georgia. But as far like we don't have to play Florida State. And you might say, yeah, but you play the two best teams in the ACC last year, Clemson and Notre Dame. Well, we almost beat Clemson with Jeff Collins. In fact, a marginally better coach than Jeff Collins would have won that game, most likely. And I have a bet. I tell you how little I'm worried about North Carolina next year. What would Sea-Dog say? Not at all, boy. Both Sea-Dog and I have a bet with Luke on the ACC show, if you watch the ACC show, that we will eat literal crow. Literally eat a crow if North Carolina beats us. And like I talked to my dad, he's like, "Well, man, what if you lose?" Like, I'm not gonna lose. I mean, that's for Luke to figure out how he's gonna eat a crow. I talked with Sea-Dog maybe at one of the tailgates we do this year. I'll hunt a crow that I can present to Luke when we curb stomp them at Bobby Dodd. You can never unlose to Jeff Collins. That stain never washes off. That embarrassment is never quailed. It's never forgotten. North Carolina should be embarrassed. And in fact, is that that's Jeff Collins' only blowout win? Like he blew him out. He ran him off the field. When Jeff Collins runs you off the field, you need to reconsider every decision that led you up to that point as it pertains to college athletics. Like, honestly, probably no one would have blamed Mac Brown if he just insta-retired right there. Just said, yeah, obvious. Like, he could have pulled a Steve Spurrier, just be like, hey, man, it ain't working out. I'm leaving. Quitting right now. Is what he should have done. I'm not worried about North Carolina, though. Not worried about North Carolina. And I'm not really worried about us making a bowl either. Again, you're not going to convince anyone who's not tech faithful of that. But for us not to make a bowl, I mean, we would have to lose to like Boston College, Virginia, Miami, trying to think like Wake, Louisville, and let's see, thinking back through our schedule. Basically, we'd have to lose every like toss-up game that we're in. Like, it would be a worst case scenario. What about Miami? Am I worried about Miami? I'm never as high on Miami as probably anyone else. Like, it seems like every preseason, everyone seems to think Miami's back. It's the 80s again, and The Rock is playing defensive end. They probably take a step up this year. I'm certainly more worried about Miami than I am North Carolina. Like, I can say that. We're more worried about Miami than North Carolina. But we can definitely beat Miami. I mean, I was going back and doing the video for Brent Key, and it was pretty cool kind of reliving, him being named interim, him, hey, 8 weeks to prove you're the guy for the job. And looking at the injury to Zach Pyron, which what a baller and tough kid. He gets stuck pretty stoutly by a DB, breaks his collarbone. And I don't even know that he realized it. I'd have to go back and look at the interview I did with Zach Pyron, because I did ask him about that. And if I remember correctly, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he realized that he had like fully broke his collarbone until he tried to throw that like halfback pass back downfield and wasn't able to do it. So, yeah, I mean, we're down to our third string quarterback at Miami last year, and we're still in it into the third quarter. I mean, I don't know many teams that are going to lose two quarterbacks and, go 500 with everything Brent Key was facing, So I don't know. Going back and looking at it, like it's just I'm really excited to have Brent Key. I definitely think he's the right guy for the job, and he just like from the minute that he was named interim, just started making sense. Like, let's stop trying to complicate everything. Let's simplify things. I mean, for Christ's sake, if we can only run 5 plays well and we all know our assignments on offense, then we got a 5-play playbook. There's no sense in having, all this motion, all 40 different formations, and we can't dial up a single play. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. David says now that UCF is in the Big 12, they have an easier backdoor into an extended playoffs, which would help land big name recruits. Well, number one, obviously being in a Power 5 conference helps. I'm sure that was a factor in Colin Fox signing with them too. And yes, with a 12-game playoff, I mean, they do have an easier time being a Power 5 team backdooring into it. UCF is a good program. We'd be proud to have their record some seasons for sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, O'Leary and Key built that into, for a time, the best Group of 5 school in the country, and now they're no longer a Group of 5. I mean, they've proven they can play. They've beaten a ton of Power 5 teams. It was Cincinnati kind of after that. Now Cincinnati's moving into the Power 5. That's the other thing that's exciting. Like, Tech is in obviously a rebuild mode. We're going to have to build this thing kind of from the ground up. And Key's done that. Key has experience doing that. Then saw the heights of college football at Alabama and came here. Also turned down, and after 2013, Central Florida had the best season they'd ever had. Was tapped to be the head coach at UAB, was offered the head coaching position at UAB and turned it down. So I don't know if that's, he wanted to stay with O'Leary. He liked O'Leary that much, or if he had some foresight into like, hey, man, I'm just not ready to take that step yet. Or I don't want to be hamstrung into a UAB level of play. I'd rather take an assistant job at a place like Alabama later. But yeah. I'm excited. I've still got a fair amount of work to do on that video. Like I said, thank you again. I think it was Coffee Killer for the super chat. All those videos that I do like that get demonetized. Like anytime you use a clip of college football, anything, it's going to get demonetized. In fact, on the first video, I forget the name of these asshole media group that I guess owns the rights to these clips from 2000. So I got copyright struck because of the Goose is Loose George Godsey clip, and it just selected that one. So I said, okay, I'll just take that clip out. Whatever. I mean, it kind of sucks not to have the Goose is Loose in there, but we'll take it out. Then they did a manual review. So a person literally sat down and looked at a video that's not even going to get 1,000 views for a channel that barely has 1,000 subscribers. We're talking small time. You're going to pay someone to manually review that. And what that means is like you still see ads on it, right? But they get all of the ad revenue for it. So I then don't even have a choice to demonetize it and say, hey, no one should get money from it. It just automatically goes to them. There's nothing I can do about it. So basically, I hope the worst in life to those guys. But anyways, Mike Doug says, all things considered, Brent Key going 4-4 was a great job considering all the quarterback injuries. Considering everything, like what was it, Mike Ruffalo or something in show, Joe and Ruffalo, that reaction video I did where I don't know what this like mental gymnastics is where like if you don't think Brent Key is going to be a good or great head coach, that's fine. That's probably not a super controversial opinion. He still has a lot to prove. But to not even give him credit for what he did as the interim is freaking insane and disrespectful, honestly, to what the guy did. Like, what did that guy say? Oh, he just won at opportune times. Yeah, man. I mean, I tell you what, give me a coach that just wins in opportune times. Like, I'll be happy with that. Like, when is not a good time to win a football game? And then, actually, Slim Shady Kane's echoed this sentiment. Like, oh, well, people will rally around the interim, so anything he does as interim should be disregarded, I guess. All I know is we're going to see this coming up season. We're going to see. John Burns says, our new staff has played and coached for some of the all-time greatest coaches. We need money. Winning ain't free. Send a check, even if it's only $100. He's talking to Georgia Tech, by the way. Yeah, so you look at everything the guy's done. Immediately changes everything about practice. By the way, if you didn't know this, Jeff Collins had never won back-to-back games. 3 1/4 seasons, Jeff Collins never won back-to-back games. Brent Key does it right off the bat. Goes to Pittsburgh, being a 3-touchdown underdog. On the road, gets a win. Gets an overtime win over a good Duke team that won 9 games. By the way, that Pitt team did too. Then we play Virginia. Jeff Sims gets hurt. We throw Gibson in. He looks like crap. Now, I shouldn't say he looks like crap. He didn't play well at all, and you could tell he had not prepared like in practice like he was going to play. Now, does Key just say, well, I guess we just hang with this guy, man. No need to make any changes here. No! He goes and gets Zach Pyron off the scout team. Says, hey, let's get this kid ready. Zach Pyron starts balling out, Pyron balls out. Obviously, we probably weren't going to win the Florida State game. We were just way out talented, but played respectably in his first start. Then goes to Blacksburg, gets a win against Virginia Tech, right? Looks good. Then we play Miami, breaks his collarbone. Now we're back to Zach Gibson. Now, do we just roll over and say, okay, no way that we could, nothing we can do here. We just have to wave the white flag and just, ring it in for next year. No, Winky, Key, and staff get Gibson ready, and we go beat the second best team in the conference in North Carolina. They only had 1 loss going into that. On the road, second 3-touchdown underdog Brent Key was. Like, if that's not coaching, like if someone's going to tell me, oh, well, that's just people rallying around the interim, get out of my face and stop eating retard sandwiches, okay? Because that's 100% coaching. Like, I don't get why people are so low on Brent Key. And I'll tell you the other thing. I'll call out Josh Pate. Like, I love Josh Pate. I think The Late Kick is the best college football show on YouTube. I do. He was super enthusiastic about Jeff Collins coming in, and we all were. Like, it's not an indictment to say any Tech fan was excited when Jeff Collins came in. Josh Pate said, Georgia Tech in the heart of Atlanta is a sleeping giant. As time went on, nay, a critical word against Jeff Collins, which I think is because Jeff Collins knows he's kind of burnt bridges in the coaching circles now, and maybe he'll find his way into recruiting staff. I think Jeff Collins and the ego and the, oh, look at the pleats in my pants and, oh, you see the waffle. I think he wants to get to podcasting. And evidently told Josh Pate that he was promised things by the administration at Tech that they didn't follow through on, which I don't know. Maybe that's true, but if it's true, it might have had something to do with winning 6 games in 2 years, and they're like, hey, we're not going to continue to support this nonsense. Obviously, Collins thinking there's some conspiracy with Key. Everything Key's done, everything I just laid out, 2 road victories against conference opponents, being 3 touchdown underdogs, beating a good Duke team in overtime, running through, having to play 4 quarterbacks and prepare them all to play. Pumachan, is so great. He's playing for UMass now. But I tell you what, he was good enough to score against Georgia on their opening drive. 0% chance he's going to throw in that situation. And Georgia bites on the play action like a naked lady running up the street and everyone gawking at her. I mean, they bet that hard on it. Y'all done got me half fired up. And I'm talking to myself here, Has there been a single word from Josh Pate or really anyone in college football media about this? No. I feel like Rodney Dangerfield. No respect, I tell you. But you know what? I'm actually happy that that's the case because setting aside Collins, because he's kind of like he was who we thought they were, and we let him off the hook with $11.37 million. Setting aside that, Tech seems to do the best when no one gives a crap about them. They're picked to be last in the ACC. In fact, I think one of the times we won the conference, we were picked to be second to the last or last in the conference. And I think people are going to be shocked. I do. I think Tech's going to have a really good season. I think our offense is going to be night and day. I mean, I was looking back at it. I think we were averaging like 280 yards a game under Collins offensively. And then we were giving up like 5.37 times 10 to the 28th yards a game. So it can only go up. And look, we talked about it when Bryce Kuhn was on the show. There is like an authenticity with Key recruiting that I don't think Collins had. With Collins, it seemed to be a lot of smoke. With Key, it's like he's not blowing smoke up your ass, right? Like he's I mean, raise your hand. Who likes the guy who's a straight shooter? Like that's one of the best compliments you can generally give someone. Like, hey man, the guy, he can be kind of rough, but damn it, he's a straight shooter. and that's what we have with Key. So it'll be interesting to see how long before anyone gives Key the recognition when he starts winning this season and turning this thing around. Now, as far as competing for the ACC, that's going to be more difficult now just because there's not conference or there's not divisions. We were on the easier side, though we still had to play the toughest team from the Atlantic every year in Clemson, but we didn't pull, Florida State every year and whatnot. With that being said, can we change our rivals? What is it? Wake Forest, Louisville, and Clemson. 33.3 bar of those percent make any sense whatsoever. Where'd my little thing go? I don't know. Is this working for you guys? Me just ranting about everything that's pissed me off about Georgia Tech and college football for the past since I started YouTube. By the way, if you haven't noticed, a lot more professional looking. I paid a guy named Squidtard, actually. Really good dude. Made the background, banner, everything for the channel. We've got new intro videos for the live show that you guys haven't seen yet. Probably debut those this coming up Sunday. Obviously, new microphone, got a new interface. And if you didn't know, WreckTalk knows a thing or two about music because I was a nerd growing up. So I took piano, play guitar, know some music theory. I hired a guy to write like a custom Georgia Tech track. And honestly, I just wasn't pleased with it. And this is how I do business. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really haggle with people. I mean, unless I think you're just charging me something egregious. I pay you what you ask for. And then when I get it, if I'm not happy with it, I never use you again, and I tell other people not to use you. Because I'm not trying to debate the thing with anybody or argue. So that's kind of what happened with that feller. And I said, you know what? I think I can do better. I think I can do a better job. So I'm working on that. Yeah, sure, Mike. They are pricey, but it's worth it. And that's another thing. Like, I don't mind spending money. And, like, that's not a flex or anything, but, like, I would rather spend more money and be happy with the product and get something that's quality than cheap out and then eventually be like, man, this was a total waste of money. But, yeah, this mic feels like almost $300. Interface like another $200. So I don't know. We've probably I say we like there's I gotta catch myself from doing that. I say we like I have some staff like Josh Pate does or something working on the channel. I don't, but I've probably put about $1,000 into the channel in the last month or so. And it's worth it. I mean, look, my intention has never been to like make a ton of money from this. My thing has always been like, I run my mouth about Georgia Tech football anyways. And really like this idea started when my dad's a truck driver. He drives to Nashville, Tennessee and back every night from Athens, Georgia. His like home terminal is in Athens, which is, you know, a delight when you're a Tech fan. You have all these mouth breathing idiot Georgia. Yeah, you know, that's a lot of fun for him. In fact, when we beat Georgia the last time in 2016, like his boss came up to him, was like, he was legitimately pissed. And he's like, you better tell your boys, stop tearing up our hedges. You better tell them that. It's like, well, maybe you shouldn't let a team that, honestly, and I shouldn't even say this because I'm dunking on my own team, but a team that is, was there a single player on our 2016 team that would have started for Georgia? How many players did Georgia put in the NFL that year? How many players did we put in the NFL? It's probably 3 or 4 to 1, if not worse. And we beat them. You know, I was there. I remember Jacob Easton, the last play of the game, is going to throw a Hail Mary. And instead of, I guess they don't teach like parabolic trajectories at Georgia. Because, I mean, when was the last time you ever heard a player being academically ineligible to play a football game? Because I don't remember. I like, that's not even a thing anymore. So, you know, you kind of want as much delta X as delta Y, right? You want as much lateral movement as vertical movement for like an optimal trajectory. And he just said, no, baby, straight up in the air, all delta Y. And I think Brent Mitchell, who's I think he got a mechanical engineering degree at Tech, intercepted it. Anyway, yeah, I've gone through like 20 different tangents here, but you know, my dad drives all night to Nashville, comes back, and during the season, every night I call him, and we probably talk for an hour and a half to 2 hours just about Georgia Tech football. And it always ends the same way. he gets fired up and he's just like, I don't know, man. I just hope we play well. I'll talk to you tomorrow. uh, uh, and so I was like, man, I should start a channel because like I talk about this hour and a half a night anyways. I might as well like get a little bit for it, or really the big part is hooking up with a community of Georgia Tech fans, because you probably can't tell, but like I'm not like a gregarious extroverted person. Generally I keep to myself. Like even when I go to the games, like I always feel like I'm in someone's way. I always feel like I'm bothering somebody. And I'm not going to talk to someone I don't know normally, like until I started this. So getting kind of hooked in with like a community of Georgia Tech people, like I didn't really even know who Sea-Dog was until, I don't know, a few months before I started my channel. And now, Sea-Dog's one of my best friends. Absolutely love Sea-Dog. In fact, I don't even know if I told him this. I guess I had started my channel 3 weeks before the Virginia game. Maybe more than that. I started the channel right after the Central Florida game and Collins was fired. And I saw Sea-Dog. He actually parked by the Tech Hotel. Right, and in that parking lot. By the way, if you go to a game, that's where you want to park. It's like E46 or something. It's like $20, and it's right by the bookstore. So if you want to forget about the $20 that you spent on parking, you can go into the bookstore and spend literally as much money as you'd like to spend. You can spend an infinite amount of money. And then you won't care about the $20 you spent on parking. But I saw what John Burns says, put an invite tab on the page so we can invite like-minded jackets. What do you mean? On what page? On the Discord, you mean, John Burns? You know what I just realized? I have two of the same background, and it looks kind of dumb. I don't like that. We need to correct that. I need another background for my. What do we do here? What would be a good background? Should I just go with the OG background? Or maybe this. Would that look good? Let's see. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, baby. Sorry, I'm a lot more what about that? I kind of like that. You got Tech Tower. Maybe I can take the T. I always get that wrong, by the way. On this podcast. How do I do that though? Can't you just copy the link and send it to them? I'm sorry. As a tech guy that went to tech, I should probably know more about what you're talking about. The other thing you probably don't know about me is like I'm like the oldest person like in my soul. I'm probably about 120 in my soul, and like when I don't understand something, I just get mad at it. That's also probably why I'm divorced too. Anyway, if you can describe what I need to do, I'll do it. I don't know what an invite tab is though. Like I just thought you could, if you wanted to send this show to someone, just copy the URL and send it to them. T Branch says, I have Bobby Dodd at night with the city in the background as my team Zoom, and get compliments all the time. Yeah, that's a good one. Coffee Killer says, I park at work for free, perks of Midtown. You know, I used to work in Midtown, and I parked in that Terrace Hotel right across the street from the Fox. And I would just park there and walk, and it was pretty awesome. I could just come in North Avenue. Mike Doug says, haha, 120. I know how that feels. Just turned 53 today. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say how old I'm turning, but I will be a year older in the next, 10 to 15 days. My birthday is in July. And I was just going to say when my birthday was, but then I was like, you know what? That's a common security question. And I've already been absolutely hosed on people. Like my computer's basically been hacked. Someone sent me, they were posing as an advertiser and sent like an agreement for me to read. And I don't remember opening it. I must have, though. And when I look back at it, it looks like a PDF. It has an icon for a PDF. And in reality, it was a screensaver file. I don't know what you're thinking. Why would they send a screensaver file? Well, a screensaver file, if you didn't know, can execute code and absolutely bend you over. So now I'm more paranoid than I generally am. Mike, Doug, is your birthday today? Is today? I know you sent me. I think you sent me something. Let me look back. Today is your birthday, so Mike, Doug, happy birthday. I probably shouldn't have said that because I just did what I don't like doing for myself. But let's see. Let me go over here. I think we all need to sing happy birthday to Mike Doug.
Infobells!
That's like a little kid thing. We need like happy birthday rock. That's what we need. I'm sorry, Mike Doug. That sounds like something I'd play for my 3-year-old kid. How about this? It doesn't sound like happy birthday, but it's something. There you go. Happy birthday to Mike Doug. Happy birthday to you. I know that was beautiful. I know when I started singing that, you saw unicorns with angels riding them. Happy birthday, Mike Doug. 53, but I'm sure you're kicking life's ass like you're 23. I'm still in my early 30s. Sometimes I feel like I'm in my 60s or 70s. When I played football, I mean, obviously when you play like high school football, I'm sure it's still this way, and even more so even. You had to take weightlifting every semester. And I was really good at power cleans. So, it's actually good for all these Georgia fans that want to talk smack, say they're going to meet me out back somewhere. I benched 315, and I set the record. I'd have to go back and look. I'm sure it's been broken since, but I power cleaned 305. That's where you pull it up and then catch it on your shoulders. That's a young man's game, and honestly, maxing in weightlifting is dumb, in my opinion. It causes far more joint issues. I think endurance and repping is far better. I say that like I've worked out since I was in high school, but I dislocated my SI joint. Your SI joint's the joint that affixes your spine to your hip, and it dislocated and it rotated. So actually one of my legs was a little bit longer because my hip had rotated. And to this day, my back gives me trouble. In fact, sometimes my back will hurt, and for whatever reason, it feels better to just sleep on the floor because it's just, like it's stable. Like I need something that doesn't. It's not malleable. It doesn't move. So that being said, sometimes I feel like I'm 70 or 80 years old. But you know what? I'm losing some weight. I'm down to about 253 from about 275. Oh, coming back full circle. So at the Virginia game, I see Sea Dog, and if you went to the tailgate, or if you've ever seen like me and Sea Dog in public, like we're both about 6'2", pretty big dudes, so it was easy to spot Sea Dog. And I was gonna say something to him, but I was like, nah, I don't want to bother him. Sea Dog's big time, Georgia Tech. I'm only getting like 70 views of video. And I didn't talk to him, and I didn't, come to find out, like, Sea Dog is like the coolest dude ever, like one of the more humble guys you'll ever meet. In fact, he reached out to me not long after that. In fact, it might have been the next week, and he was like, hey man, we should meet up. We met up at this barbecue place that it's the same place that when we played in that golf tournament, a fellow YouTuber, Tyler Baskins, I don't think I could be wrong, I don't think he makes videos, but he's on Pigskin's Pete show a lot. He instead of just ordering as much food as he wanted to eat, he just kept ordering the same thing over and over again. So like what do you want? I want a barbecue sandwich and some fries. And then every time the waitress would come back, he would just keep ordering that. He'd be like, hey, Tiger Baskin, is there anything I can get for you? And he's like, yeah, I need another barbecue sandwich. And he ordered like 4 or 5 of them. What do you mean enough talking about how good Sea Dog is? I've hardly talked about Sea Dog. I've hardly talked about him. But yeah, this guy ordered like 4 or 5 barbecue sandwiches consecutively and ate all of them. So yeah, met up with him, and then he turned me on to like the other people in the community. Like it was awesome going to the Slob Olympics, meeting Pigskin Pete, met Uncle Lou, met Traveling Fools who fixed my tire, had a hole in it. Met BVD, Big Vol Daddy. Who else I met at the Slob Olympics that was cool? Obviously Slim. Like I don't have a single good thing to say about Slim Shady Canes. Like I hate him. Like if you're a wrestling fan, how much Jim Cornette hates Vince Russo, that's how much I hate Slim Shady Canes. And I can't wait to I met Tiger Cat. Tiger Cat's super cool LSU YouTuber, does live show I don't know, like twice a week now. Anyways, I can't wait until I win this bet with Slim, which I never make bets. But he offered me a parlay, and it was mathematically advantageous for me to take the bet, So I think a lot of them are going to Cherokee the 10th to like the 13th. And I would love to go and hang out. I'm just not, like, I don't like gambling. Right when I turned 21, I think I actually went to Harrah's in Cherokee, and I went to the slot machine. It was like $1, and there's no more coins anymore. Like I thought you just have like a bag of coins or whatever, or money, but you just load it all on a card and you swipe your card. And so I pull the thing, and it takes $1 from me, and it just says, you lose. Do you want to put another $1 in? And I'm like, well, this is lame. Like, I would rather trade money for I know what I'm getting. I'm good at that. Like, I blow money on stupid stuff all the time. Like, I don't know, like any kind of tat. I mean, like, for instance, T Branch will like this. I see this on Amazon. Let's see if I can. It's the Tony Soprano Funko Pop. And he's got the little duck from the first episode. And I see this, like, I don't know, $20-$30, and I'm like, I'm buying that. It's just like, it's not a choice. Like, I have to buy that. I have a autograph photo from the whole Sopranos crew that has James Gandolfini's signature, and everyone on the cast. So that wasn't cheap, and probably a dumb thing to buy, but I bought it. Also, right after, so the Slob softball game is coming up, and that's the July 22nd. I'm on Team Fools, which I'm totally cool with. If I joke about Slim Shady, like I actually talk to Slim Shady Canes about once a week on the phone. Slim's a good dude. If all Miami fans were like traveling fools, and Slim Shady Canes, like I would have no problem with Miami fans. But most of them are not like that. It's kind of like Georgia fans. Like I really like Vic. A lot of friends I had in high school, because I grew up near Athens, were Georgia fans, cool dudes. But the majority of their fans are not like that. Majority of their fans, like, I don't know how it's positive to have a negative IQ, but they do. And it's just like, there's just nothing to talk about with them, It's like you can't have an intellectual conversation. Not even an intellectual conversation, just a coherent thought would be nice. And you just don't get that. You don't get that with them. How long have we been going here? Almost an hour. I've just been rambling. Like I had no plan coming in tonight. I was just like, I'm just going to go on, just talk about whatever. By the way, T Branch, if you notice, his name is green. He has a little star. He's been using some custom emojis. That's because he's a member of the channel. It's $5 a month, or $4.99. I think I don't know. Give or take a penny. It's $5, and you get cool stuff with that. You get to make video suggestions, which now I can only take T Branches. He's the only member, so it's a pretty good deal for him. Now, moving into the season, there's going to be some members-only content coming out. Not much. I mean, it won't be much. Like, it will be supplemental to what I normally do. It's not like I'm going to take away stuff and put it behind a paywall. But some extra stuff I do will be members-only content. Also, talking about moving into the season, I don't know if any of you know who Mark Rogers is. He's someone that works with Joey Foster, West Virginia guy. He's the guy that managed Golden Blue Dude, if you know who Golden Blue Dude is. Mark Rogers was like a professional broadcaster for some time. I think he worked for ESPN. Me and Mark are going to be doing a post-game show with Sea-Dog every week. I talked with Joey about it. In fact, Mark sent me a text earlier today, which it'll be on his channel. I'm sure I'll upload it on my channel as well, or I think you can even do like simulcast streams, or two people can stream the same thing at once. But I'm looking forward to that. So we'll be breaking down each game right after it happens. That's gonna be cool stuff. I've actually never talked to Mark Rogers, so I probably should give him a call, like he told me to. And I guess with that, I'm gonna drop the StreamYard link. There's about 14 people in here. If you want to come on and did I fix that? Yeah. If you want to come on, speak your piece. If you have a question, maybe we could do like an AMA thing. I don't know. If you want to come on the show, call in. You can click that link. It's so easy. Even a Georgia fan could do it. In fact, I've seen Georgia fans figure it out. So, not that hard. Um, I'll leave that open for probably 10 minutes if no one wants to call in. I know it's getting late. We all have to work tomorrow. It's weird having a holiday wedged in the middle of the week like this. Now, I think, is next year a leap year? Every election year, it's a leap year, right? So I'm pretty sure it'll go. So next year, the 4th will be on a Thursday. And we have Mr. Mike Doug calling in. What's going on, Mike? Happy birthday, sir.
Dude, thank you for the birthday wishes, man. That's awesome. It's been a very good day.
Good, man. What'd you do for your birthday?
Well, I got to work tomorrow, so I stayed home this time. But
Yeah,
I got like $100 and a cake, and I'm happy.
that's what's up, man. What are you gonna spend
Yeah.
$100 on?
I don't know yet. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Probably I'll spend it on WreckTalk.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. Which, speaking of, if you guys see the scroll in the chat, there's a link for merchandise in there as well. I would love. When's our first home game that's not at the Benz? I think it is it Bowling Green. First home game at Bobby Dodd. Let's see. South Carolina State. I would love to see a bunch of people with WreckTalk stuff on at South Carolina State. That would be awesome. But anyways, man, yeah, like happy birthday, happy 53rd birthday. So you've been a Tech fan for how long now then?
Oh, about over 4 decades.
4 decades. So since you were 13, 12, 13.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up I think you and I talked about that before. I grew up a Georgia Bulldog fan during the Herschel Walker days and
in the 80s.
Yeah. But I fell in love with the Tech team because, always rooting for the underdog, human nature type thing,
Yeah, then you got Friedgen come in and the 90 team with O'Leary and Curry and
Bobby Ross.
Bobby Ross, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, that was just an awesome thing to see, man, because that whole thing, like the last 3 games of the season, they started saying, we're going to shock the world. We're going to shock the world. That was kind of the mantra going into those games and stuff, man. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, because we weren't expected to do much that year, I don't think, right? In 1990.
No, we weren't. Towards the end of the last year, right before the 90 season, there was a story, I think, in AJC or on the news somewhere saying Georgia Tech's for real.
How long do you think before people realize that this season?
Yeah, I think we're going to realize it when we hit 9-3.
9-3, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That would be something else. The trash talk that would be coming from this channel at the end of the season between me and C-Dog, we would just be inundated with it.
I mean, if you think about it, okay, so the defense looked really good towards the last part of, the last few games. So I think the defense is going to continue to get better. The offense is definitely going to get better. It's just if you really look at those games, the one thing you always see is drop balls and then protecting the quarterback. If you fix those 2 things, there's no telling what we can do this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, the defense was the cornerstone of the team from the minute Collins was fired, which is curious because Collins is a self-proclaimed, what did he say? Some people would consider me one of the top defensive minds in the country. And it's like, no one would consider you that now. I mean, the minute he leaves, Andrew Thacker makes a liar out of me,
He's the Kanye West of coaching.
I'm the coaching genius of a generation. I am not a gay fish.
All right. I got to catch your breath there on that one. How do you fix that protecting the quarterback, though?
So here's what I think. It's kind of like the toughest position group I think to make substantial changes in or improvements is the offensive line and quarterback. Those are the two. Because offensive line is a unit that you have to have a lot of chemistry and cohesion between them. And people, like, I've talked about this a ton on the channel, right? You've heard me, Joe Gilbert, talk about it. Like, playing offensive line, setting aside the physical aspect, just academically knowing your assignments is incredibly difficult. This is why teams that do really well in the NFL, teams that make these Super Bowl runs, win Super Bowls, you look at those offensive lines, they've been together for 4 or 5 years. So I think with Key not being hamstrung with the way Collins was running things, bringing in Jeep Wade, who, I've said before, like, I don't know much about Jeep Wade. He doesn't have any Power 5 experience, but if Key trusts him, I do. But between him and Key having a full season, off season to work on it, I imagine it's going to be a lot better. Now, we've also brought in the guy from Princeton transfer portal, the Scaglione, I think. Sounds like he's from Goodfellas or something. I imagine we're going to be a lot better. And in conjunction with having a quarterback that's more comfortable in the system, because not all sacks are the same or negative plays are the same. Like we saw that with Gibson. If you've got 3 seconds to throw the ball on like a short, like slant flat or curl flat pattern, and you take a sack, that's not on the offensive line. That's on the quarterback.
Yeah, I can see that. And that's the thing. When I look back at some of these games, I watched Jeff Sims play, and he's a better quarterback than I gave him credit for. I think a lot of the problems was he was under, being coached by Collins, but what Winky did and those 2, what was it, 2 games before he got hurt? After
Duke and Pitt.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It just like it looked like he was a different player, even though he still had Winky and he still had the same team around him. It's just his mindset seemed to change.
Well, I think the biggest change there was he looked like a different player. I don't necessarily think he was a different player. What Winky did and Key, I think, is played to the strengths of Sims' skill set. So Jeff Sims is really a unit. Like, that dude is a grown man. He's listed as 6'4". He looks taller than that. He's jacked, and he's got a ton of speed. So what did we do in the Pitt game? We did a lot of rollout passes with him where if it wasn't open, he could get downhill and run with it, and used his feet, kind of working inside out as a quarterback, used his feet running threat to open up passing lanes. I don't know why we weren't doing that before. Probably because he was coached by Dave Patnode. And Patnode had, I don't know what his offensive philosophy was, but it was kind of like, do you remember like when you were a kid and you had those like puzzle books and you'd have like one list of words on one side and you'd have to match them with another list of words on the other side? And by the time you drew a line, it was just like spaghetti. That's what I think Dave Patnode's playbook was. It just a bunch of nonsense. But I think he's going to play very well at Nebraska. I think Matt Rule is a fantastic, particularly offensive coach, but a fantastic coach. Many coaches don't work out in the NFL. He was one of them. Steve Spurrier was one. Nick Saban was one. It's pretty rare that you see a guy take the step to the NFL and be successful. I don't have anything negative to say about Jeff Sims. I hope the best for him.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm really excited to see with Buster taking over and Winky doing the tremendous job he did towards the end of the year with all these replacement quarterbacks. I'm just really to see how much this offense has improved.
There's 3 keys that have me really excited about the Georgia Tech offense. Obviously, Buster Faulkner. He's now got 2 national title rings. We're not going to mention the team, but has had a ton of success as an offensive assistant, off-field assistant. A guy that's run an air raid offense most places he's been, has, had historic offenses at like Arkansas State and Middle Tennessee State. But then you've got Josh Crawford. Josh Crawford, a guy that also likes that pass-heavy air raid spacing type wide receiver play. And then you got Chris Winkie, who seems to be, to me, the most underrated position coach in college football right now. You put those three, the trifecta of what could bring the Georgia Tech offense back to the glory days of like Hamilton in the late 90s and then George Gotsey in the early 2000s. I mean, could we have a Georgia Tech quarterback make a run for that? I mean, 3,085 passing yards is not something I think that's inconceivable to break if you have, especially with the wide receivers we're bringing in. I mean, Dominique Blaylock, Christian Leary, who's the kid from Duquesne, Abdul Janae. Like, we're stacked at wide receiver. We've got depth at quarterback. I think Dante Smith is going to have a breakout year. Travion Cooley's a really talented running back. Seems like a lot of people on staff are high on Evan Dickinson. If we can just, to come full circle, if we can get the offensive line playing cohesively, assignment football, we could have a pretty good offensive year.
Yeah, I think the one thing I don't hear too much talking about is the size, how we match up with teams like Georgia, teams that are, I hate to say that the title there, but the SEC teams that are just oversized. I mean, they seem to get the biggest kids around. How do we match up with those teams?
We're definitely bigger, I think, than we have been. I mean, that's one thing I think Collins got right. He wanted to get I'm trying to say this in a way that's what she said, but he wanted to get length and size on the roster. To the point of like, how do we match up against Georgia as far as that's concerned? Not well, but most teams don't. I mean, when you talk about matching up skill and size with those teams, I mean, there's maybe 10, 15 teams in the country that are able to get in that ballpark. My goal is not necessarily to have an offensive line that looks like Georgia's. Right now, for me, the goal is eliminating mental errors, number one, which is missed assignments. You're supposed to down block and then you release and pick up backer for some reason, and penalties. And we've already seen evidence of that working. I mean, we had to be the most penalized team in the country, or one of them, before Key took over. And a lot of it was like false starts and illegal motion, illegal formation type stuff. So I think we've already seen improvement there. But I think if we can kind of do next right thing, eliminating mental errors, eliminating penalties, and being physical, good things are going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, since you asked me earlier how long I've been a Tech fan.
Yeah.
And all the time I've been watching Tech's off season and just the whole way that they've been playing since, God, I want to say late 70s, early 80s. This is the first time I've seen them actually be this serious with their coaching, with the people they're hiring, with the recruiting. I mean, it's
talking about Georgia or Georgia Tech?
Georgia Tech. It just seems like we took a step up. It doesn't seem like we were doing that much with Jeff Collins as far as giving him the type of stuff that Key is getting.
Yeah, well, Key definitely has the buy-in, I think, of donors, and that's huge. I mean, if you don't have that, it's pretty difficult to be successful as a head coach. I mean, see Brian Harsin at Auburn, for example. And I think Collins had that buy-in when he came in. It was such a debacle as time went on. I mean, it was kind of hard. Like, if kids aren't buying in, they're all transferring out. I mean, how are fans or donors going to buy into it? And That's why I'm kind of scratch my head. Josh Pate says that there were things promised to Collins that he never got. My thing, we'll name it. I mean, Collins goes to every spring practice and every podcast that'll have him flapping his gums about Georgia Tech. Lay out how we did you dirty, man. I mean, you got $11.37 million in your pocket. I mean, what did we say we were going to do that we didn't do? Stop. I don't want to say any bad words. Stop being a wuss and just call out what it is you think we did that harmed you. So Mike Jones says, what is Jeff up to these days? He's sniffing the jock strap of Kirby Smart. The last podcast or video I saw him on, he was talking about how great Kirby was, and he knew he was going to be successful and all this, that, and the other. Whatever. Evidently, he's going to come out with his own podcast, which if he does, I definitely will be reacting to it.
Yeah, I mean, I would hate for him to badmouth Tech. I really would.
Well, I mean, if we legitimately did him wrong, like, fine. We'll have a conversation about it. But, I don't know that he really understands that there's not another team in the country that would have stayed with him that long. Not a single one, I don't think. So I don't really know what he thought was going to happen. Like, what did he want? Like, us to give him another 2 years? Like, in 2 or 3 years, I know right where we're going. Okay. All right, Dunwoody, what's up, man? T. Brant says we need to rate. If he lets people call in, I would definitely call in. Yeah,
I want to hear that if you and Sea Dog both of you guys call in.
Yeah. I just want you to know, Jeff, I'm an elite high-level caller, and I will be calling in consistently.
That's awesome.
Which podcast, CJ? I'd have to look back at it. Let me see if I can find it. I'll post the link in. I feel like if you just type, like, search Jeff Collins in YouTube, it probably comes up. Let's see. Yep, it's the Next Round podcast. Here, I'll put the link in the description. And I get it. Like, if you have a coach on or someone close to the program and you're critical of them, you're going to lose access to them. But man, did they cup his balls that whole time. I mean, it was like at a minimum, you'd think they would have asked, like, what do you think went wrong at Tech, or how did it go off the rails? Like, they didn't even do that. They just were like, oh, how great is Jahmyr Gibbs and whatnot. But yeah, I posted the link to that in the chat. This is the same podcast he talked about, like, assassins in the program you have to be weary of. Like, okay, only assassin in the program as it pertained to him was him. So I don't think anyone could have thoroughly made a better case that he needed to go than himself.
He's had the worst record that any one of our coaches has had in, I don't know, 40 or 50 years?
Yeah.
Even Bill Lewis at least got like a 300% winning percentage average.
Well, he had like 1 year of that. And he won more games than Jeff. I mean, when you win, he won 10 games in 3 1/4 seasons?
Yep.
I mean, what are we supposed to think about that? And this is what I think would be hilarious. Like, if Brent Key, has the success this season that we think he's going to have, in Jeff Collins' mind, I'm sure it'll be like, well, I loosened the jar, baby. I guarantee you he thinks that. And
you can't get away with that.
Well, I mean, he does seem a little bit delusional. Well, I'm not even going to say delusional. Like, in all seriousness, like, it's not even me trash talking the guy. Like, he just has some serious maturity issues. Like, this is kind of how kids react when it's like, oh no, man, that wasn't my fault. That's totally everyone else. Like, either that or like a drug addict will do that. But yeah.
Oh no, can you hear the fireworks going off in the background?
I can't. In my background, yeah, some people are shooting fireworks.
Yeah, they're doing it here too. I hope it's not interfering with the show at all.
No, I can't. I can't hear it. It's the 4th of July though. Fireworks are good stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So what's on tap for the Louisville preview?
what's on tap? Well, as far as like what videos I have planned for it, or what do
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think?
yeah. So you're going to have more time leading up to that game than any of the other games. So are you planning to do anything like leading up to it?
So this is what I have planned to do. Number one, Ike Dunwoody asked, "Are you going?" I'm going to every home game this year, as I do every year. I'm also going to the Ole Miss game and the Clemson game, which are away. So I guess what? There's only 4 games I won't be at. What I plan to do, I'll do a season preview the first week of August. That puts us a month before kickoff. I feel like that's a good time to do it. I've already laid out, I'm committing to 2 videos a week, a position breakdown, and then just whatever's going on at that time. That'll be a position breakdown Tuesday, and then another video on Friday. Live show every Sunday. During the season, I think I'm going to do something similar where I will do a preview video every Tuesday, and then like another video. I don't know if we'll do Friday because that kind of hampers me. But I know at a minimum I'll do a preview and a recap of each game, and then probably one other video. As far as what I think about the Louisville game, I know why people are high on Louisville. Brom's a great coach. He's proven that, particularly on the offensive side. But he is a first-year head coach. And I just think people are too high on that. I think some people are drinking the Kool-Aid with this. Like Louisville is thought to be this dark horse. Now I'd have to look at their roster. Like I don't know what they have at quarterback, what they lost last year, what they lost in the portal. I just think Key being 8 games in interim, bringing in what we did, like and even if I wasn't a Tech fan and I just knew everything I know right now, I would not have us 8-point underdogs to them. I would think it's a toss up, 3 points, 1.5 points, either way.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Louisville, but I'm thinking that they hired. Where did they get Brown from? Was he the offensive
Purdue,
coordinator?
I think they got him from Purdue, didn't they? Let me see. It's Jeff Brom, right? That's his name.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, Jeff Brom. He came from, let's see, Purdue. Yep. He was at Purdue from 2017 to 2022. Then he was the coach when they mollywopped Ohio State that year, wasn't he? They beat them like 45 to
Oh yeah, that was a great game.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he's a quarterbacks coach. He's an offensive-minded quarterbacks coach.
so I guess the only way that Key can really prepare his team for them is to look at Purdue's offense.
Look at Purdue's offense, and here's the other thing. Like, this game is far more important from Georgia Tech's point of view to win than I think it is Louisville's. I mean, obviously, you want to win every game. Like, a win is important to every team. But I just think we have far more riding on it. I mean, we've got to get the recruiting or continue this recruiting train. We're going to be the only game on TV that year. There's a lot of doubt as far as Tech is concerned that Louisville doesn't have. Everyone seems to think Louisville, is going to be in fact, let me see what the over-under on Louisville is. I want to say it's like 8 games.
Really? First-year coach?
Maybe I'm wrong. Let me look. I mean, it's not less than 6. Louisville win total, 8.5.
Wow.
I don't. That's what I'm talking about. I don't see it. I would take the under all day on that.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, maybe let's look at their schedule. Is their schedule like stupendously easy?
Well, they got to play Tech. That's not an easy game.
Yeah, obviously. Let's see. They play Tech to open up. Then Murray State. Jeez, that's looking like Georgia's schedule. Indiana, Boston College, NC State, Notre Dame. All right, so those are two tough games. Pitt, that's a tough stretch. Duke, that's a 4-game tough stretch. Virginia Tech and Virginia, they're both pretty down. Miami, Kentucky. Yeah, man. So you're telling me they can only lose 3 of these games or 4 of these games. So I don't know, man. But that means to win, they'd have to win 9 games, right, for you to take the over on it.
Yeah, I don't see that.
I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from.
Kentucky's going to be a tough game, depending on how beat up they are at the end of the year. Miami, that's a toss up.
I mean,
Louisville, Miami. I think most people will pick Miami, right?
yeah, they'd have to beat us, Murray State, Indiana, Boston College, NC State. Let's say they drop Notre Dame and Pitt, then they'd have to beat Duke, Virginia Tech, Virginia, Miami, and Kentucky. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Is Miami and Kentucky back to back?
Yeah, I'm looking for their bye. Oh, in fact, Virginia Tech and Virginia are easier games, but they play Virginia Tech November 4th on a Saturday, and then they got a short week for Virginia on a Thursday. So, that might could present some issues too. It's never easy when you only have like 4 or 5 days to prepare.
Yeah. I still don't see 9 wins, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they were to drop against Tech, like there ain't no way. There ain't no way. And I think we got a good shot at beating them. I mean, no one's really given Tech a chance in that game. And I mean, what was the early score prediction by like Sports Illustrated? It was like they had them blowing us out like 30 points, which I don't see that happening either. Because look, I know we've got to replace our 2 most productive players on defense in AC Lee and Charlie Thomas. But I'm telling you right now, guys, Braylon Oliver, Andre White, and Trinelius Tatum are the truth. Okay? Especially, I don't know as much about Trinelius Tatum. He just hadn't played as much. But I'm telling you, go look at pictures of Braylon Oliver. First of all, if you wear a cowboy collar at linebacker in 2023, you're a grown man. You're bringing the wood. When was the last time you saw someone wear a cowboy collar? That thing that like comes up over their neck.
I'm trying to think. I draw a blank on it. Maybe someone wearing it as a Halloween costume.
Yeah, I mean it's been I don't know, early 2000s was the last time I really saw anyone wearing those. So I think we're going to be fine. I'm more worried as far as linebackers next season because Braylon Oliver and Andre White only have a year of eligibility left. So we're going to be replacing, 2 starting linebackers again.
Which is why this game is so important to start off the season.
It's everything for recruiting. It's everything.
It is, and you gotta hit the ground running this season because one slip up and the mentality of the team starts changing.
Yeah, well then you're playing kind of tight. Then it's going to be a lot tougher to make a bowl starting out 0-1. Bobby Boucher wore 1 and Waterboy exactly, and that guy brought the wood. Well, anyways, man, we're bumping up on 10 o'clock. Mike, Doug, I appreciate you calling in, and happy birthday, buddy.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. The hell with Georgia. Talk to you guys next week.
The hell with Georgia. I appreciate it, Mike, Doug. Guys, I honestly thought this would just go on for like 30 minutes. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I hope you've had a great 4th of July celebrating us. kicking the teeth in of the British, which was probably an improvement for British people because their teeth are so cattywampus naturally. Anyways, you guys have a great rest of the night, and I'll see you guys Friday.